Veritas. SCP Files. Episode 77, Wayward. Incident Report 8604-1. First known report involving SCP-8604, colloquially known as Envenena. Object Class: Safe. Risk Assessment Level: Low. Reported by Aurelia Rhodes, Civilian. Original report date is unknown. Report recovered during initial exploration of SCP-8604. Report recovered June 16, 2025. I will not pretend that I'm going to escape. I can feel the heat of the flames that have always flanked my path. The burn on my left hand is a constant proof that they are not an illusion. The fire is a real and constant threat. But I am so hungry that the fear of what the flames can do is nearly drowned out entirely. I cannot keep hoping, cannot keep walking through this endless place. There is nothing out here but fire, path and sky, and the same trees, stretching forever in every direction. I am tired. I am hungry. I am done waiting and hoping to be saved. This place... I know I'm not the first to be lost here. There are markers of those who have come before, small tokens of their lives. A dog leash, a single cigarette, a red knit cap slung high into the branches of a tree. I leave my own here besides this note. The map I carried that proves to me this is all in vain, that I can never return home. The one with my baby's name written in the upper corner. If anyone ever does escape, please find her. Tell her that her mother tried to come home. Tell her that I never stopped trying. If I stay on the path, I will starve. If I leave, at least there is a chance at ending this quickly rather than dying slowly of hunger. Tell her I tried. Please forgive the state of this paper. My hands shake from exhaustion, and the burn on my left hand is so raw that I can barely hold the paper still. I hope the next pilgrim finds this and learns something that might help them find a truer escape. Maybe a clue that I've somehow missed. I hope you can read it. I never should have come. I know that now. But what else could I have done? When your life is diapers and crying and endless caretaking, it's hard to find a moment for yourself. My weekend walk in Uwari, casual day pack slung across my back. was the only time I felt like a person instead of a machine. I would leave her with her father and walk the trail until my chest felt lighter. I didn't come here to leave her. I only wanted a moment to feel like me again. The walk was always the same, just a small section of the Baden Lake Trail. I'd meander slowly up the path, enjoying the birdsong and the fresh air, pausing at picnic tables to look out across the water and get lost in my mind, reflecting. It was always the same path, always the same peace. Until, suddenly, it wasn't. I was walking the familiar stretch beside the lake, so early the fog still clung to the water. Everything was hushed, still, save for the occasional sharp peep of a bird. I felt utterly alone in the calmest sense. My shoes crunched the dirt in a steady rhythm, comforting, meditative. And then I noticed it. The path forked. I stopped dead. A new track veered off to the left. Narrow, grassy, tamped dirt. But there should have been nothing there but a wall of trees. I stared at the alien path. I knew this place. I had walked it countless times. This had never been here. Out of instinct, I took out the map I always brought with me, checked it through once, twice. Nothing. It was not meant to be here. Slowly, forcing my stiff muscles to move, I looked up at the tree line, expecting the same dense, unbroken wall of trunks and branches that had always been there. Instead, the woods gaped open, a neat corridor into the forest, about 5 meters across. The trees on either side leaned back, just slightly, as if they had always meant to frame this passage. For a long moment, I could only stand there, my heart hammering hard against my ribs. Maybe I'd simply never noticed it. Maybe my map was old. Maybe I'd always kept my eyes fixed on the water, lost in its rippling surface, too distracted, too serene to see the gap. That had to be it. And yet, there was a wrongness in how the opening sat. It was too symmetrical. The shapes of the trees mirrored perfectly. It was too sudden, like the forest had moved, yawning apart while my head was bowed and focused elsewhere. I could see a long way down that new corridor, and it looked the same the whole way, a straight path, untwisting and unbroken, framed by identical pines. It marched off, determined, towards something I had never known existed. Did it lead back to the parking lot? Over to Kodak Rock? I couldn't tell. The whole time I've been here, I've kept wondering if I was pulled in, called somehow. But I don't think so. Curiosity did it. A stupid, ordinary curiosity. And that's what feels worst of all. I didn't go far. I walked for maybe 5 minutes, 10 at most. Nothing changed. The trees repeated. The path unfolded the same as the last step and the one before. No forks, no signage, no hint of a destination. The silence grew heavier. The faint birdsong vanished. There were no other walkers. It was just my breathing and the ever-present crunch of my boots. It took me a while to notice the third sound under it, the faintest crackle, somewhere far, far away. I decided to turn back. This was clearly leading me nowhere. And then I saw the fire. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, a faint lick of orange where they should have been solid green, a tiny glare through the thick trunks. But as my eyes adjusted, I realized it wasn't a trick of the light at all. Flames licked the forest on both sides, deep in the brush, a sheath of orange running parallel to the path, about 40 meters off. It didn't leap or rush. It simply burned in an even line, relentless and straight as an edge. Panic hit me like a slap. I ran. I ran out of duty, of course, a need to warn the others of the danger of a new forest fire. And I ran because my daughter waited at home and I could not, would not, leave her. But mostly I ran to get away, a visceral, carnal panic spreading through my body, forcing my legs to move faster and faster. I kept expecting the clearing and the lake to reappear, any sign of the world I'd left just moments before. I'd only walked a short way when I took the turn, but the more I ran, the less the world changed. The sameness swallowed distance. The path continued, unchanging, a uniform march to nothingness. Even running, even gasping, there was no end in sight. I am not a fit woman. I felt it quickly, the burning in my lungs, my calves screaming almost instantly. Still, the threat of the flames loomed brighter than the burn in my muscles, and I pushed on, convinced I'd see the blue of the lake at any moment. It never came. I pushed myself until my breaths came ragged and my legs threatened to give way. The crackle in the forest depths seemed louder now, and I could see thin tendrils of smoke seeping into the path, smelling acrid and sharp. When at last my legs gave out and I collapsed onto the dirt, my knees and palms scraping raw, I thought for sure the fire would take me then. I lay gasping, begging my body to move, waiting for the flames to rush in and consume me. But when my vision finally cleared, I realized they had not advanced at all. They didn't spread. They didn't fade. They just burned, flickering, constant, balanced delicately atop the underbrush, like they had been painted in place. A wall of flame that neither lived nor died. I pressed my stinging hands to the dirt. This was impossible. Clearly impossible. But the sting of the path pressing into my torn palms confirmed that I was, indeed, awake. And I was not where I had come from. So I rose again, slower this time, and walked with careful, deliberate steps. My eyes stayed fixed on the fire, watching for the moment it would shift or swell. Instead, the sameness remained. The path continued, arrow straight. The trees marched in their perfect rows. The flames mirrored them, a twin line on either side. Minutes stretched, then hours. My mind whispered excuses. Maybe my pace was too slow. Maybe I'd turned myself around in panic. But the deeper part of me knew that something here had me deep in its clutches. Knew that I was lost on a road that could only ever lead farther in. The hours passed, but the light did not. Morning stayed frozen on the horizon, a cruel imitation of dawn. My throat grew raw with thirst. The water in my day pack dwindled. There was nothing else. No streams, no birds, no relief. But then I began to find things. Tiny mementos of other hikers. At first, it was only a cigarette butt, mashed flat into the path. My heart leapt at the sight. I wasn't alone. Someone else had been here, which meant there must be a way through. I walked faster, scanning the path. That's when I saw the red knit cap caught on a high branch. Then more. A scrap of parchment dusted with crumbs. A photograph of a man with 2 children stabbed into the earth with a knife. A white handkerchief, plain, limp, and damp. Proof that I was not the first. Proof that others had walked here before me. But never proof that anyone had actually made it out. Time kept stretching. The light never changed. My body told me I was weary, that I needed sleep, but the sky insisted that it was morning still. Morning forever. I had little water left, no food, nothing but the path. So I slept anyway, curling on the dirt, knowing I would need what little strength I could gather. What else was there to do but wake and walk again? I don't know how long I walked before I found him. He looked like one of the last hikers, or at least what's left of one. A skeleton hunched in the dirt, folded inwards as if he'd been kneeling, perhaps in prayer for salvation, or perhaps doubled over from that same gnawing hunger that lives in my belly now. His clothing hung in strips, unsalvageable, nothing to offer me on my own journey. Except when I stood over him, the realization slammed into me. He did offer me something. Certainty. There was no way out. Not by walking forwards, not by trying to go back. I'd already walked that stretch, and the trees behind me were the same as the trees ahead of me. Nothing changed. Nothing provided a promise of home. The path was a loop of endless uniformity that swallowed both direction and hope. So there was only one other thing to consider: the flames. It was the strangest fire I'd ever seen. They looked so false. They were too straight, too convenient, too devoid of any of the chaos real fire always had. They looked constructed, purposeful, a sentinel to keep us in place. I told myself they simply must be an illusion, a trick meant to keep us in this sameness forever. That reasoning lasted until I reached out. I stepped off the path for the first time since I'd entered, slow and deliberate. My left hand stretched towards the closest wall of orange. I felt the warmth from them, first as a kiss, then a blast as I stepped closer. But still, it was so constructed. There was no way it could be real. I plunged my hand into the depths. A sear of pain arced through my palm, shooting up my arm. I could see my flesh blacken, the skin blistering and smoking. The smell of burning flesh hit me so intensely I wanted to gag, and my mouth filled with a copper tang. They were not an illusion. I screamed, a short, surprised blast, and tumbled back onto the path, clutching my ruined flesh. There was nothing to use as a bandage, and I was out of water to soak the seared skin. I pressed my hand to my chest and begged the pulsing agony to stop. Even between my ragged breaths and the searing pain, some small, twisted logic fought its way forward in my mind. If the flames could burn me like that, and I yet lived, maybe, just maybe, they were the way through. Maybe pain was the price I needed to pay. Whatever cruel thing had trapped me here, maybe my suffering is what it truly wanted, and that was the only way towards freedom. But the flames stretched farther than I could see, reaching deep into the trees. They wrapped the corridor in such a straight line that I knew there was no way around. They were not a gate, but a guard. An impassable border that reached back into the forest, so far my eyes could not fathom its end. So there was only one choice that could save me from the slow ache of starvation and dehydration. Experiment. See if I could pass the test. If not, at least I would die quickly. A cleaner end. The skin on my hand peels in agonizing sheets when I move it. I still breathe in the smell of smoked meat. I cannot bear it any longer. Something needs to change. And it won't if I continue to walk here. There are small mercies here for you, at least. I will leave my day pack, and within it is the notebook I tore this from, alongside the pen I always carried with me. The water I had is gone, but you can take the bottle. Perhaps you'll chance upon a stream, or I don't know. Anything else that breaks this monotony. I leave also the map with her name. Tell her I loved her. Tell her I tried. Tell her that her mother did not choose to leave her. That I did everything I could to reach her again. I hope that this note might help whoever finds it. Perhaps it will be a clue to your escape. I can, at least, hope. But I fear that this forest keeps us all, tucked out of sight, tucked somewhere where time does not pass, and directions are meaningless. I am tired. I am hungry. I am burned. And yet, I still have to try. Just like Valerie, trapped forever in an endless trail, devoid of all life or similarities. forced to step off the trail in order to end the torture. The only possible hope of a way out. Though I fear a quick Google search confirms that Aurelia Rhodes went missing in the Uwharrie National Park 12 years ago and was never seen again. So it seems her attempt at escape were in vain. She was burned. Valerie disappeared. But what else were either one to do? Sometimes the only choice is to veer from the path. Yeah. I think it's time.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Wayward is based on SCP-8604 by Ram Lethal Valentine from the SCP Wiki located at scp-wiki.com/SCP-8604. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured Justin Gilner as Scott Anderson. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us. Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.